Well, hello there, everyone, and how are you guys today? Well, I am here to talk about how to break your birth chart down today. And before we get started, I am going to show you how to create a website. Also, hello, how are you guys today? I hope you enjoying your day. And man, oh man, have I been busy with finals, but I have my last final tomorrow and you guys will see me maybe more often. I'm on winter break until the end of January, so I get to share a lot more astrology with you guys. I actually have, after I'm finished talking about how to read a birth chart, I'm going to go over some astrology stuff that I forgot to talk about. Like I mentioned planets, but in how to describe zodiac signs, which gave sense to how the zodiac sign works, but then it's just like, okay, well, how do these planets have these qualities? And that's about mythology. And every time I talk about the origins, whenever I talk about a part of astrology that relates back to the origins of how astrology came to be today, I have not talked about the Greeks and Romans and their mythology. So wait for that, guys. Sadly, I don't have a book on mythology. I do. It has like one paragraph of mythology and it's just giving like a snippet of it. So I'm actually doing research online, so it's taking me just a tad bit longer. I mean, I understand, because it's a lot with the mythology, but that's going on a whole nother tangent. So right now we are going to start with creating So today we're going to be starting with creating an account on Astro Dynest. That's the website that I use every time you see me put up a birth chart. So here it says create a free registered user profile. So you're going to click that, hit accept, they got all this. Then you got to put in a username in, password. So I'm going to type in baby Crone 2022 at gmail.com. Yes, I have a Gmail now. And, what am I going to have my password be? Okay. Yes. Select a title. Oh, okay. None. First name, last name. Baby. And, oh no. Sorry, I hit enter too soon. And Crone Country. I am from the USA, the Americas, North America especially. Keep me logged in. Yes, no. Yeah, I'll keep yes. Why not? So hit okay. So now you've created your first chart. We're going to save it. So now that we've created our first chart, your first profile, you're going to hit add new astro data. And today we're going to be breaking down Kim Kardashian. She is a female, born the 21st of October, 1980, I believe it was, at 10:46 a.m. Whole world. She was born in the USA, in Los Angeles, as they say it. Let me just double check her information real quick. Okay, I was correct. So then you're going to hit continue. So we're going to click on this. Then when it says extended chart selection right here, you're going to click on that. This is where you want to add extra details. Like for example, when I talk about transits, you can find that in chart type. And then this is if you want to add extra parts. So even though I never break them down for you guys or even covered some of these, you're going to hit control if you want to know about some of these other ones. So I like to talk about Chiron, Sirius, Juno, Vesta, Vertex, and part of Fortune. I do not like this Lilith. There's another type of Lilith that I use, and so far that is it. I'm not going to break those down in the charts because it's just to make the chart reading more fuller, because the more things you add to a chart, the more you can understand a chart. So I'm just going to click on it to enlarge it. Look at Kim Kardashian's birth chart, everybody. So what is very... Let's start this slideshow. So what is very important to know about your birth chart? Well, you have to look at your sun, moon, and rising. That's what they call a triad. And just to throw in a bit of mythology in there, Apollo, the god of sun, but the sun god, but he's also the god of creativity. And he has a twin sister, go figure, named Artemis. And yes, I know, right? Artemis, she is the moon goddess, but she's also the goddess of hunt, which makes sense. This is very interesting. This is something I learned about mythology, because usually when I hear about the moon, I hear about Selena, which is a different form of the moon. The moon has many various forms. And so to understand hunt a little bit, think about hunting like hunters and gatherers. Just think about the mentality and what they had to do to live in those times. You still have those instincts inside of you, but we don't use them today because we have evolved. But we still have those natural instincts in us. After all, in science, they say we are animals, mammals to be specific. And then you're ascending, literally not a planet. But this is very important because depending on when you were born, this this sign specifically charts you, basically chart, like when I say chart, makes your entire chart, makes or break it. If you know somebody's ascending, you know what time they're born basically, because the ascending changes based off of where the sun is. So if you don't know when somebody's born, but they tell you their time, this is a way, there's many ways you can actually secretly get information out of people. But yeah, so that's very important. And then I'm also going to be talking about the different types of aspects, and also a little bit about the north and south node, because that's also important when you're taking an overview of a birth chart. So let's look at Kim Kardashian. So her sun sign, she is a Libra. There was a fly. I'm going to zoom in a bit for you guys so you can see. So right here, we see Kim Kardashian, Libra. This is the sign of Libra in the 10th house. However, her sun is in the 11th house. This can happen. And on top of that, if you see just ever so closely, this blue dash line means the line where the sun is, but because it's a picture, it has to take up more space than the line. That's why they have a line to show you the exact degree of where they are. And this sun just happens to be on the cusp of the 10th and 11th house. You see, this is a cusp line right here. And what does a cusp mean? That means you share properties, share properties of the two houses. Really, she's just letting go of her 10th house and getting into a new house, an 11th house. So she's adjusting. She's in an adjustment period, which is fitting because a little bit about numerology. Don't worry, I'll teach you guys about numerology. 28 degrees, that is the second to last degree that a zodiac sign can have, because a zodiac sign is 30 degrees, 0 to 29. So that's also showing you she's a little bit on a cusp too in numerology, but there are no double digits in numerology. So 8 plus 2 is 10, and still 10 is a double digit. So if you look at it, 1 and 0, if you think about binary code, literally just ones and zeros. So binary code, if you think 1 and 0, that means she's at the start of a new cycle, but she's in this transition period because it's 0, all-encompassing, united, circle. And that's also a little bit about what the sun represents too, because the sun is a circle, so it's like I like to think about it as your soul or your spirit's encapsule and everything that's in it. Like if you think about how an avocado has a pit inside, well, this pit is like your soul, and it's encapsulated in a body, which is the sun in a sense. So this shows you how your soul is feeling in its body. And oh yes, so because 1 and 0 is representing all-encompassing and starting a new cycle, she's also in a transition period into a new cycle. So she's now trying to reflect and use the information that she just had from the 10th house, the information she just had from the 10th house, and use it and see how's that going to affect her in the 11th house. Like, what have I learned in the 10th house, actually through all the journey that led me to the 11th house? Because, let me zoom out, the birth chart always starts from the first house. I'm going to break this down in a second video and breaking down each house. But it starts from the first house, and then you circle back to the 12th house, and it starts all over again. So her being in the 11th house, which is so funny because that's the second to last house of the wheel, she is really struggling with transitioning from being in the public light, but also being a supporter to her friends and people that she associates herself with. Because, not to be a little bit biased, but this is why it's great to use celebrities, because it's so easy to see their life, and Kim Kardashian is so easy. That's why I chose her. So you can see that she struggles. We know Kim Kardashian is a socialite, and she climbs to the top whichever way she can by who she associates herself with. And that's qualities of the 11th house. But however, who she associates with herself with happens to be people that she's known for associating herself with and setting a social status, which is all about the 10th house, which she all knows about. She knows how to be in the public light. I mean, look how she got here. She knows what it's all about. So that's showing you a little bit about Kim Kardashian's personality. So now we're going to look at the sun. And I mean, we just looked at the sun, so now we're going to look at the moon. And the moon over here is in Pisces, 28 degrees Pisces, also cusping the 3rd to 4th house. Now, Pisces is all about humanitarianism and selfless acts of kindness, because you understand, Pisces tend to understand the stresses and what the world is all about. And maybe sometimes they don't want to add to that because they understand somebody's having a bad day. And they're just like, okay, maybe I don't want to share what I'm struggling with, but I could find a way to help you feel better instead of talking about myself, in a sense. So that's like all that her moon is about. And you can kind of see that in Kim a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to see it with her, and it's for a good reason. Because as you see, this green dashed line right here represents an inconjunct, and an inconjunct means almost exactly opposite, but just slightly off. So that means her sun and moon want nothing to do with each other. They kind of just do their own thing and just like, peace. I'm gonna go do me. Sun go do sun, moon gonna go do moon. And that means that she was born it definitely means she was born near a full moon. Now, was it before or after a full moon? I'm not exactly sure. But because of this, her moon energy is really tense inside of her. So it's hard to fight that sun energy. So it's like the sun and moon are always fighting with each other to show forth. Is she going to be all about the public light and showing off who she's about? Or is she going to show off her emotions and be like, I could help somebody because I could understand and maybe I can relate, give or take. And maybe she gets a little bit of mix of that. You don't know. It's hard to know with Kim Kardashian because it almost seems like she's selfish in a sense. But she has moments where she's not selfish. Like if you think about it, what she did, I mean, it could have been for a selfish reason what she did with Kanye, but saving the kids by basically helping Kanye be able to have his accounts unfrozen. But also, that's just a little side tangent. And what else are we going to look at? Her rising. And I'm sorry, I did forget to mention that because her moon is in the 3rd house. 3rd house represents firstly, well, since I'm not breaking down the houses in order of development, the third house in general means who do you communicate with within your immediate circle, like who's in your area. Basically, think about it. Who do you communicate within your area? She lives in Calabasas. Who does she communicate within Calabasas? Who does she associate herself with within Calabasas, basically? Who does she see on an everyday basis in Calabasas, basically? And those people really get to know how she feels on the inside, while us, the public, only get to see what she puts out to us. Which makes sense, because this black line right here represents, everything up here represents what we can see, because it's directed outwards, and everything below the horizon is directed inwards. So that means, as I said, Kim Kardashian is so easy to read, because if you look at it, almost all her planets are above the horizon. So that means we get to see everything about her. The only thing she really keeps hidden is her emotions. And so that also bleeds a little bit, because it's on the cusp of the third house. It can tend to bleed into her home life and her family, which is the fourth house. And maybe that's why she sometimes finds tension in her family and what makes her feel secure. But she really takes her emotions and how she feels serious, and almost just like carries almost like a shell on her back. Like her emotions, like if you jab Kim Kardashian, it's gonna be like, oh no, that hurts. Hurt me so hard, but I'll never let you see it, kind of thing. And maybe that'll affect her and her family life. You know, maybe she'll be more high strung and more high tense in her daily life and daily interactions, that people just, I don't know how people work with it, because, you know, it's like a give or take. It's not good or bad, because Kim, she has her good days and her bad days. It just depends on who wants to rule that day, her sun or her moon, basically. But her rising is right here, a Sagittarius, directly, so half above, half below, and perfect. So what does Sagittarius represents? Well, she sees life as new adventures, new opportunities, new things to find to do, basically. And she uses those abilities and new experiences that she gains to grow herself. Now, what does she use to grow? Grow her beauty, maybe, grow her spirituality, or whatever makes her feel philosophical and deep and like connected to faith, maybe. And maybe she's not religious, you know, because Sagittarius is about higher education, higher knowledge, and basically seeking and going on journeys to gain information, because you want to fulfill something within you. So going out and always adventuring, meeting new people, having all these different endeavors in the business, doing different things, makes her enjoy life, because she just sees life as something to learn from, and she wants to take this opportunity in this life to learn what life can give her. And that's maybe why she's so in the public light, because she feels that with this kind of attention, she's able to achieve more, maybe, but she has to find the balance, because she is a Libra. So Libra's all about finding that balance, and she has to find that balance within her between her sun and moon. And also, so I did talk about the triad, the sun, moon, and rising. So now we're going to talk about aspects. So we have these red aspects right here that makes a triangle, it looks like, but actually it's half of a square, which really is a triangle. But they call it a T-square because it has two squares. This is a square and this is a square. And a T-square has two squares and an opposition, which is right here. And if you look, the T-square is mostly directed at her moon. And when I talked about having triangles, there's an apex, which means where something is drawing attention to, but that tension is also what's being released. So all the attention is being put onto her moon. Very stressful. But at the same time, she releases it out through her moon. So however she feels, people in her day-to-day life is going to know how she feels that day. They're going to know if Kim's having a bad day, good day, off day, happy day, sad day, stress day. Just depending, don't with Kim today kind of attitude. And, you know, they learn how to deal with her. But we also have some nice aspects, which are these blue lines, and these blue lines are trines. And this trine symbolizes harmony. So she is able to find relief through the stress that she's able to release in a sense. And this helps her in a way be creative, because maybe that just makes her want to work harder, just do better, put her oomph into it more. She's like, maybe if I forget about it and just work and do something to get my mind off of it, it will be great. I will feel better. And hey, you know, sometimes that's what people do. They just work to get their mind off of whatever's bothering them. And to go back to this T-square that I was talking about, these red aspects. So the opposition is really between her, hang on for a second. Her T-square is really, this is where a lot of the tension is, because an opposite, no. A lot of this opposition is a strong aspect, but an even stronger aspect is the square. But I want to talk about the opposition first, because in the opposition we have Saturn, Jupiter, and Venus. Now, to break it down real quick, Saturn represents life lessons. What is her soul here to learn? In Libra, to find balance in what? 10th house, find balance in how she appears in the world, because as you see, her sun is on a cusp, which means she has to learn how to balance, and also learn how to balance her sun and moon. And this is a hard lesson for her to learn, because she wants to try to balance it, but she approaches it differently than how Saturn wants her to approach it. So therefore she's struggling trying to balance her emotions and how people perceive her. And that is hard, because Libra is all about perception and how you view beauty, but also trying to find balance and harmony in everything you do. So if she's an unbalanced Libra, that means everything she's doing is just and that's probably bothering her, and she's just like, God, why can't it be perfect, in a sense? Oh, poor Kim. And so, but if she can just learn to overcome this lesson, she will have the abilities, Jupiter, spiritual abilities, her natural abilities, her God-given talents, basically, will be able to show to the world if she can just be able to find this balance, Kim. And oh, I feel so bad for Kim. And because I was talking about trines, about natural talents, she has natural talents with Mars, Uranus, and Mercury. How she communicates. Uranus, how she changes things up and be different, because, you know, she is trying to balance her sun and moon, and therefore she does things a bit differently, and she finds that doing things differently has worked for her so far, and she's okay with that. And Mars, she likes to shake things up a bit with intellect, basically, in action, by being fast-paced. And Mars and Scorpio is about, Scorpio is a heavy sign. It's deep water that goes towards the depths and really does things in the taboo that people would not like to do in order to stand out. And we know Kim was flopping in the media a while ago with, wow, she was looking at, she's still flopping. You remember the other day, not the other day, but just the other couple of weeks, she kicked her sister's dress. Come on. Kim is cracking just a little bit, just a teeny bit. And that's, it's okay, because she's struggling at the moment, because she has these squares in her. This right here, and Neptune. Neptune is the major square. And what does Neptune symbolize? Which is so sad, because Neptune rules Pisces. So Neptune is not getting along with Pisces. And that means the moon that's in Pisces is just like, hey, why aren't you getting along with me? We should be getting along. And Neptune's over here And Neptune's over here looking at the moon, looking at Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus like, we could be getting along, but I see you having a problem over here, so we can't possibly be getting along. Because I see this problem, and maybe I could give you a different perspective on how to approach this problem. Just like I could help, the moon could help, Neptune could help the moon communicate a different perspective to her life lesson and her natural abilities and the things that she loves. Because hey, love and manifesting things. She really loves to take adventures, and she really loves to really just love to just reach the high tops, reach the top of anything, really. Which is okay, because reaching the top is sometimes good. You when you're at the top, you can see the bottom, and maybe you have more of a perspective. Hey, I mean, if you know how to get to the top, you could tell somebody else how to get to the top. But also, you know how hard it was to get to the top. So if you're only at the top, you know why. Sometimes they say the road less traveled, and I mean, people have taken the route of Kim, but Kim is just controversial in a sense, and this birth chart reading just makes me feel just a teeny bit bad for Kim, but you know, this is all about her life, and this is literally what her life is about. So really, everything that she's struggling with and everything that we're seeing is we're supposed to be seeing. We're supposed to be seeing all of this, really. And for her to hold, and if you think about it, the way the chart is shaped is that everything looks like, well, really, I like to look at it from the bottom. It looks like the moon is just spitting all this out. So if you think about it in that way, that can be abrupt too. Because if you're just blah, you got all this energy, and we're seeing all this energy. Like, you know, if Kim explodes, we see her explode. You know, if Kim's upset, we see her upset. If Kim doesn't want to talk or have an attitude, we'll see Kim have an attitude. And it affects her in every single way, because sadly, her day-to-day life is tied into her public persona, and also by who she communicates and associates with herself, because they just also happen to be within her same community. So therefore, it's kind of like, you are who you hang with. And that's why she kind of dropped Balenciaga. She was just like, I don't want that image. That's going to tarnish my image. I don't want that kind of look for me. I want a different kind of look. And that's what Kim's trying to do, is just find this balance. And just real quick, just talk about the sun and moon. Not the sun and moon, the north and south node, because those are slightly important. Well, they are important. Aside from Saturn, your north node is where you're supposed to be heading in life, like where your soul wants to evolve to in life. And basically, if you don't evolve to it in this life, either life will make you evolve into it, or you're just going to have to come back and you have karmic debt and you're going to have to redo a lesson. So just get things right in this life. I know it can be hard. They say that, but really life is hard. And so really she wants to have fun in life. I mean, wow. Go figure, her north node is in the 8th house, the house of Scorpio. But anyway, the 8th house ruled by Leo. Leo's all about fun, energy, creative. What do you want to do? Basically, because really in astrology, the sun rules Leo, and the sun basically is a spotlight. So therefore the Leo likes everything shined on them. So the north node really has like its spot shined on find transformation with what you do in life. Be creative with your talents, use your talents, transform your talents. That's what Kim Kardashian is trying to do in this life. However, there's always a south node that goes against that right over here in Aquarius. And that means that south node is what she's comfortable with. So she's comfortable with changing things up. That's why it's such a natural talent for her. Uranus rules Aquarius, so of course that would just be a natural talent for her to shake things up, because her south node is all about shaking things up in the public perspective in order to do something for the greater good. That's That's literally her. I mean, literally, she is in the public eye. Maybe she's not doing anything for the greater good. It's questionable because she's got this seesaw tottering back and forth between her sun and moon, and that affects her in her life. But she also finds peace in that because she likes to change things up. That's what she's used to. That's what she must have done in a past life and it worked for her. But in this life, it's not gonna work for her. I mean, she can find a way to tweak it to work for her in this life. Or maybe if that's just not what she's supposed to be doing in this life, just completely disregard it because your soul just wants to keep evolving. It doesn't want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's eventually gonna get tired. And then it's just gonna be basically you learn the lesson. And I don't think Kim Kardashian is at that point yet, but she is just struggling at the moment to find the balance of how does she appear in the public versus how she appears to the public versus how she wants to appear to the public because of how she feels. So, Kim Kardashian, I hope you work this out. And with that being said, that's how you do a quick overview of your birth chart without really breaking down the houses, just looking at the key important parts because the birth chart will bring you through the story. And as you will see, everything I basically talked about right here told the story, and I almost went through the entire chart. Just the things that didn't have aspects are just fillers. This is what fills in and describes the emotions and feelings and actions and thoughts that she does. But the aspects are basically what we're seeing, and the non-aspects is just what's inside of her, and we just don't see it, even though these are above the horizon. And these are things that I added in too, so really, her chart is basically empty on this side without none of this here. So really, everything that we can see is everything we do see. And with that being said, I hope you enjoy this reading, and I hope you go and try to read your chart. Hey, leave some comments down below. I can answer some of your questions if you want me to. Alright, well with that being said, I will talk to you guys later. And I will see you in a part 2 video where I break down the houses one by one and show you how the zodiac, how the birth chart shows human development through different stages. And I will be reading her chart just slightly different. Alright, with that being said, bye!